Hey, people, this is the time. I mean, we are legitimately worth a shit this year.
Oh, I missed the intro so much. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, outsiders of all ages, it is Wednesday. So what are you drinking? It's time for the Outsiders. And remember, Outsiders is brought to you by Poncho, ponchooutdoors.com. That's Colt in a poncho shirt. It's also Bo in a poncho shirt. We've all got poncho shirts. We love them. Heck, I got new poncho shirts I got to get from Bo because he's the source of our poncho shirts. They are awesome. ponchooutdoors.com. Check them out. We got an NCAA tournament about to crank up in basketball. Bo's rocking the hoodie. We are ready to go. Before
Bo
we
even looks like a drug dealer, Chad. Like he's your poncho dealer. And right now, he's your poncho drug dealer.
He has that vibe like he's trying to hide in the trees, right? With the camo, just kind of stop. Is that
If
my
I
drug
stay
dealer?
still, nobody can see me.
I'm just trying to figure out how the hell in our crew of intellectual giants that we managed to fuck up last week so bad we couldn't even do a show just because Chad went to Conroe.
Hey, sometimes, you know what? Sometimes it's good to feel needed. And I felt needed last week. So that's a good thing. I appreciate you guys faking like you couldn't have a show to make me feel important. Thank you so much.
I wish you could have seen the text between Bo and I. Like 15 minutes before we're supposed to go on, he goes, "We got a real fucking problem." I was like, okay, that's not a good text to send. Like, how about a follow-up to that?
We have really got a problem. If it makes y'all feel any better, our trivia team at the bar restaurant in Conroe did really well that night. If that makes you feel any better. We went to, what's it called? The Pacific Yard House in Conroe.
That place is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was good. We were doing
only
really
about
well.
25 minutes from me, Chad. That's cool, though.
Is that it? A little 25?
Yeah.
You could have had a Mach 5 sighting together.
I should have. That's why I should have just grabbed the. I should have grabbed the bowling pin. That's what I should have done. Should have grabbed the bowling pin and headed your way. All right.
Look at Curtis Samuel while he's on his way to Buffalo.
Yes, that's true.
In the nobody gives a shit category, Curtis Samuel's moving to Buffalo.
I did see that. I thought of Chance. Because of Chance now, I actually care about what happens to the Bills. It's a sickness now that Chance has given me and maybe some of the viewers as well. Quick shout out to our guy, Jason Dick. He's unable to join us tonight. He's got some stuff going on, but he
was available last week, but not this week.
Well, I can join, right. It's all the schedules all get mixed up. Hopefully Jason will be with us next week. We're glad you're with us on the Specs chat. And we are getting ready. Your upper left is, of course, Chance Mock. He's ready to go. He even showered for you tonight, folks, which is more than I can say for myself. Your lower T formation quarterback is Bo Edge, the country gorilla. I'm Chad Hastings. Chance, are we drinking anything special tonight on a Wednesday?
Oh, always MVP vodka with water and a little splash of lime juice.
All right, there you go. I'm going with a
Healthy
third
drink.
of that. I'm going with a third of that. I'm just going with the water because when you go to Lake Conroe, sometimes you get a little crazy and you gotta, pace yourself the next week. Bo, what are we drinking?
Well, the MVP vodka is up here, but it's a brown water night. I mean, what you drinking Wednesday? Brown water.
There it is. All right. It's brown water for Bo. You got to love that. We will definitely be talking some spring football because it is underway this week. We're hoping to be joined by Jeff Ketchum this evening. Jeff's had some stuff come up in his world this week, so he wasn't on shows today. This will be his only opportunity to talk spring football today if he can carve out that time. So we are crossing our fingers that happens. Maybe 8:45, maybe 9 o'clock. You just stay with us. We'll talk some spring football. Hopefully Ketch jumps in to do that at some point.
Should we block off till midnight? Because if Ketch hadn't got to talk all day, I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true.
He might expound a little more than normal.
There will be some expounding going on. There's no doubt about it. Spring football has begun, and we're going to dig into it. Before we do, it's been a while on the Outsiders since you saw the beautiful Lisa and the incredible Rabbit from Specs. Remember, if you've been to Lake Conroe recently and you drank a little and you need to restock, they can help you.
You're needing. Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers, to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Yeah, don't worry, Specs. I am not going to forget where you are after that trip. All right, Chris Bennett. Chris Bennett, you did not miss technically. You didn't miss anything last week, but we appreciate you asking the question. Yeah. We got some hook 'em emojis coming in from Drew. We appreciate that. Got all kinds of good stuff going on. All right, gentlemen. Spring football is underway. Chance Mock, what do you think of when I say spring football? You have worn this uniform. You have represented this school. What do you think of?
So I was a little weird. I loved spring football. I thought it was great. You know, when you get in the grind of the week and the season, it's, you know, you're recovering on Monday. Tuesday, you put on the pads. You're basically knocking the soreness off. Wednesday, you're in shells. It's just kind of prep work. And then Thursday's normally just jerseys and shorts. There's nothing to it. But when you get into spring, you really go after it 4 to 5 days a week, solid. And we went for 2 weeks, and then we had 2 weeks after. We had that little spring break area right in the middle, which was very interestingly placed, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I loved it because it was competition every day for 2 weeks straight. And normally spring is the time when you're trying to separate yourself and go win a job, right? Everybody wants to walk into summer workouts as a presumptive starter. That's what you want, right? Because that's what puts you at such an advantage, because those are the guys that are up in front of the lines, leading stretched groups, doing things like that. And you assert your dominance in that time. You're going to get more reps. You're not having to fight. So spring was a time, you know, it's like the great philosophers, you know, spring is a time of blooming flowers. It's the time when the new bloom of the season has started, and your opportunity to grow within the program is huge. It's bigger than, to me, spring football, you have the biggest opportunity to move as any one time. Now, you know, obviously you get to fall camp and those close battles, those are decided there, but the separation really starts happening in the spring.
Yeah, and Bo, they're starting to, you know, they've gotten a couple practices under their belt now. There's going to be another media availability where the guys from Orange Bloods and others are going to get to see a little bit tomorrow. So we've been able to see a very little of what you've heard so far. What has jumped out to you? What's on your mind as we get spring started?
What's on my mind is how do you, and Catch will probably be able to help with some of this, but how do you delineate what they want you to know versus what is actually transpiring in the practices? Like Chance alluded to it in other shows, there's a game model that they're trying to go to. They have an idea of who they want to be the starter, and then they have these practices where you get limited availability for 15 minutes, and then there's all these practice reports and things that come out that give glowing reviews to guys, but then by the time it's the fall, that guy is not even on the radar screen. So it's kind of, how do you siphon out the messaging versus the reality? And like I said, like the ones that have true sources, like Catch and others, get more of that information, not from watching it in practice, but from like, hey, just so you know, this guy's kicking ass when y'all aren't there. This guy's taking spots when you aren't there. Because, Chance, you can allude to it, but what they're showing is not necessarily what happens when everybody leaves.
No. I mean, that's all that 15-minute media availability. It's a dog and pony show. I mean, for the most part, that was where we would do our box drills. And anybody that's lived in Austin, Texas, or followed any of those old KView clips, every single clip you would get from the media was us throwing the deep ball and a guy catching it over his shoulder and running. Why? Because those are what people want to see. And so we would be out there throwing the, you know, the post routes to Roy. It was a show. And then all of a sudden the media would leave and the gates would lock, and, you know, Bianco and his crew would, by the way, congratulations on getting honored in the Hall of Fame. But anyway, he would usher them out, and then the mood of practice shifted. Then it kicked into gear, and then the real stuff happened.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that's what I want to hear about. That's what I want to know more about is I mean, Chance, you know this. Guys are going to get physical with each other when the cameras aren't there. Guys are going to have beef with each other. There are going to be a couple guys that swing at each other, which is still the stupidest thing ever when you swing at a guy with a helmet on. But, you know, like those, like, who are the dogs? Like, you're racing on a defensive line, Byron Murphy and Tavondre Sweat. both are going to be high draft picks, and not just because of their physical tools. They're mean guys. Like, they like to inflict havoc. Who are going to be the next crew? Like, who's going to be the linebacker that steps up, that drills a running back in a practice and everybody goes nuts? Like, that's what I want to hear about.
And to your point, Bo, like, I'd like to see, I mean, from the pictures I've seen, I mean, you look at a guy like Anthony Hill, and he looks like he's put on even more weight. And I saw him in person before that Texas Tech game, and he looks really good. But that aside, to your point, Bo, like, you don't get a chance in fall camp because you can't afford to have people get hurt. You don't get the opportunity to do true inside drills where it's 3 linemen, two defensive linemen, a linebacker, and a running back, and it's mano a mano, who's going to whoop each other's ass. And it gets personal, like very personal. And everybody, you do share the locker room, and sometimes you settle those scores in the locker room, as I had to do with Casey Hampton, and it didn't end very well. But but those things do happen, and that's what's fun about spring. The true competitive nature comes out. You find out who some of the best battles that I ever saw in all of my time there was between Derek Johnson and Will Matthews. And it was a contest of who could go lower, and they'd meet in the hole, and there'd be all 75 of us gathered around watching these two go head to head. And I mean, sometimes we looked at them, we're like, one of these guys is going to die. I mean, I'm not sure which one. I wasn't going to give the edge to either because Will's head is about this big. But those are the things that make spring so fun. I'll tell you, the intensity within the locker room during the spring is significantly higher because you're not fighting the other team. You're not getting ready to play an A&M or a Georgia or an Oklahoma. You're playing each other, and you're fighting for your life on the spot of that field. And that's where it gets fun.
Yeah, you're trying to take a job is what you're trying to take.
So,
but it is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. And when you're trying to take a job or you're worried about losing a job, sometimes things get stressful. Tournaments coming up. You got 9 brackets you got to deal with. You got money on the line. You might need to relax a little bit. Bo, they might need a little Rogue shop is what I'm saying. Tell them a little bit about Rogue.
everybody needs a little rogue shop, except for maybe you, Chad, because you just spent the week in Lake Conroe and you don't turn in brackets because there's something weird in your DNA that doesn't allow you to do that. Rogue Shop has a product for you no matter what your needs are. Sleep, anxiety, fun. Like, they have different products for different things. Check out the QR code. Check out the website. They have a new product that hits the shelf next week. This is supposed to be like the hammer. This is going to be the ultimate fun shopping experience. Use Outsiders10 as your promo code. You get 10% off your order. But Rogue Shop is where you go for whatever you need. It's legal. It comes right to your doorstep. It just makes life simpler. Like I said, anxiety, they have a product for it. Sleep, they have a product for it. Partying with your buddies during tomorrow and you want to eat 74 chicken wings and drink a couple cocktails, but not too many cocktails because you got to go to work the next day? Rogue Shop. Rogue Shop is your place for whatever you need.
You know, sometimes things just work out. Bo's video, at least to me right now, is just appropriately rogue hazy. So it's just a perfect
He's
deal.
under the haze.
I love it. By the way, speaking of Rogue Shop, get in on the March Madness bracket challenge with Orange Bloods, and part of the prize pack is Rogue. And I think one of those new products Bo's talking about is a part of what they have donated to the prize pack. Also a free 55-inch television from Audio Visual Consultations and a year of Orange Bloods for free. That's all in the package. You just got to get it done by 11:15 tomorrow when everything tips off. And Bo Edge, you're going to be proud of me. I got 2 brackets in, brother. Actually, I got the same bracket in twice, but still, I put a bracket in the Orange Bloods deal. I got a bracket on an ESPN deal, and I'm going to use your pronunciation. I am picking the Houston Cougars to win it all, just so you know.
So you and Razor are in lockstep on the and I think my wife as well. Y'all are all in lockstep on the Houston Cougars. Ain't happening, but that's okay. It's fine.
It's happening. Jamal is taking them to the shed. It will happen. The Houston Cougars are going to make a run. But just definitely check out that bracket challenge. Get it done by 11:15 tomorrow. As long as we're talking about some of our great partners around here at Orange Bloods Live, let's get you a little Last Stand hats love. Even though I'm not seeing my man Ketchum ready to go, you can still get some Outsiders hats. Bo's got the hat right there. I got the hat right up here. There's 12 of them. 12 different designs of that Outsiders hat. If you don't want to go with the clean white Gus Darrell version that I love so much, I get it, because white might show that dirt, and you may want to get the black one or the gray one or whatever, or all of them. Outsiders 10 is your promo code. Last Stand hats, True Fans brand, the Occupy Left Field hats, the DBU hats, the All Gas No Brakes hats, and they have some other schools as well. If you got somebody in your life that's maybe a little more Texas State, or I don't know, a little more SMU or something like that, then you are. Check it out. Outsiders 10 is your promo code. I don't see Jeff Ketchum right now, so we'll continue the spring football discussion. Again, he's got all kinds of crazy. Everything's fine in Jeff's world. I am not going to tell everybody what's happening until Jeff wants to tell everybody. Everything's fine. It's just life comes at you quick sometimes, and he had to do some pivoting this week, and he's dealing with something right now.
If you've ever seen the Mayhem commercials, that's Jeff's week.
It is.
He realized that guy is the brother of the moron from Good Will Hunting. That how do you like them apples? And then it all comes into play.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely crazy. Before I ask Chance Mock a question, Chance, our man Chris Bennett has a great question for you after you talked about Casey Studdard. Did anybody ever fight him on all?
No, the answer on that one would be no. Like there was a few times, so I read that and I was thinking about it. There was a few times where, there was him and Aaron Harris, because Aaron was young at that time. Bobineau kind of went a little more physical than they should have because they were young trying to prove a point. But other than that, like Ahmad was really funny. He was a true military guy. Like his brothers, like he was not there. He was a peacemaker. He broke up more fights than he got in, probably because most people knew how it would end if they did. But if you were on the other team, he would destroy you. The dude was awesome. So short answer, no. Nobody ever fought him.
Gotcha. So Chris Bennett, we appreciate you being out there. Shout out to Washington State, where Chris Bennett is hanging out tonight. All right, Chance, I wanted to ask you a question. You were talking about, the way spring can be constructed and how things are looked at. We made a big deal yesterday after that first practice, because the report came out. Here are the first three receivers. It's Jonte Cook on one side. It's Isaiah Bond on the other side, and not in the slot. A lot of people thought he might be in the slot. He wasn't. And DeAndre Moore was in the slot to start out with. Give me the quarterback's perspective for the fans that are flipping out about it like we were. And what does this mean? What does it mean for Golden? What does it mean for Bolden when he shows up? What does this mean for Wingo and XYZ? Does all of that really matter at this point? How big a deal is it that those are the first three guys that walked out there?
I don't think it's any big deal at all, and I don't think it means jack shit. I think you'll see a lot of times coaches play as much mind games with the players as they do with the media. I mean, everything is a mind game, right? So how many times when you're trying to get more out of one guy are you going to put that carrot out in front of him? If you've got somebody that maybe they just need that boost. Maybe there's something you've seen in them that confidence-wise, it would really bolster their play to be in that role, or you think that they would grow up more to be, having to be put in that position. Everything is scripted, and they're doing different things. So I wouldn't put any stock in it. I mean, there was many days when, when we had some battles going on in the wide receivers, that they would start different guys. And it was because one guy was maybe getting too comfortable in that starter role. Maybe he was feeling a little big for his britches, and so we're going to knock him down a notch, right? So all those things happen.
Well,
Bo,
Chad,
what do you think when you hear
can
that?
tell me if I'm wrong, but a lot of that has to do with who was there last year, who was guaranteed certain – not guaranteed, who was promised certain things. I mean, Isaiah Bond always projected to be an outside guy. If he wanted to be a slot, he'd have stayed at Alabama. Like, that was part of the reason, if you read into it, one of the reasons he came here was so he could be showcased as an NFL caliber receiver outside of the slot. So he went right there. Well, look at the other two, Jonte Cook and DeAndre Moore, two guys that were here all backseat, even being though they were highly recruited guys, to AD Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. For obvious reasons, both those guys are projected to be first-round draft picks. But this is their spring. The coaches are also sending a message that there is something to the loyalty factor. Neither one of them explored other options. Neither one of them whined and bitched. So for at least a couple days when KVU's there with their cameras, they're letting Jonte cook. Guess who caught the ball in the end zone from Quinn that Chance alluded to? The deep ball in the corner, Jonte Cook. Guess who was in the slot? DeAndre Moore. They don't need to showcase Matthew Golden, who was already an All-Big 12 performer. He's the guy that's playing in those spots when the cameras leave and the reporters aren't there. Does that make sense?
That's an interesting thought. Chance, would you back that up? That not only does practice change when the media, is shuffled off and you guys get down to business, does personnel change when that happens?
Yes and no. Again, everything you have to realize, everything is a show. Everything is messaging. Everything is branded in a way in which they want it to be out there. And so sometimes, yes, like there was definitely times when during the Chris and Major deal that it was very interesting how they handled that media, because very, very rarely did we ever do anything in team. Everything was with two quarterbacks. So we were throwing right side and left side so that there was both guys were out there, so there's things like that you see. I second what Bo's saying, but I will say, don't always look at how many reps they get, or who starts, but how many reps they get, right? You may have a guy that runs out there a couple 2 or 3 plays, and then the next guy goes in and he gets 5, right? So I'd be more interested to see who's racking up reps. Who are they wanting to see film on?
Yeah, that's fair. And by the way, Bo, when Chance said that, it made me think of this. Miles sent us, how have Arch and Quinn done so far in spring ball? You know what they've done when the media watched them the other day? Both of them were throwing. Same time. Same exact time, just like Chance said. And as soon as I saw it, Chance, I thought that's the perfect way. Because my thought would be, now let's all remember, at the very base of my core, I've said for years, no one should ever be watching practice. Not for a second. But I'm really glad they allow it. And Bo, for some reason, lost his technical there. We'll get him back, hopefully. But so I've never believed, Chance, the media should be allowed to watch a second. But I'm so glad that we get to. But to me, if you're going to let them watch a little bit, you do one of two things. You just hand the ball off the whole time so they don't get to watch the quarterbacks. Or you do exactly what they're doing, which is have them both throw, like you said, one to the right, one to the left. Because it's almost impossible to fully break down both situations unless each throw and each catch is horrific. There's anything else you can kind of cover up.
Well, and there's a reason why they throw a lot of the deep balls too. Think about, what does a deep ball do? As long as you don't overthrow them, those receivers can slow down gently, and every one of them looks pretty. Like, it's not a precision pass. It's just one you're throwing down to a box and saying, hey, fast guy, go catch this. And they're the ones that make you look good. Let's be honest about it. That was the frustration that I had with Quinn early. Now, I think he was suffering from some shoulder stuff. Is think about how many deep balls were sailing out of bounds a lot of times, not giving his guy a chance, right? And obviously significantly better last year. And the people, it's funny, you look at the Twitterverse, and I don't know if you see it, people complaining to me about how Quinn Ewers has a weak arm is hysterical to me. Now, his motion is kind of a flick, but his release is so quick. And they're like, oh, the problem with the deep ball, he doesn't have a strong arm. And I'm going, like, that's not it at all. There's a couple things wrong with his deep ball. Having a strong arm is not one of them.
Yeah, I agree. No, I've never had that thought. Like, that was the issue. Tex guy jumping in. Quinn Ewers appears to have really defeated air today at Pro Day. He was throwing to the guys today, and we'll give Ewers credit for that, showing up to throw to the guys. Love the fact that Xavier Worthy was going through warm-ups in Crocs because he's just that much of a badass. And since it was mentioned, somebody else was asking – what did they ask you earlier? Oh, here's what it is. I wanted to transition here, Chance. Somebody asked if you did Pro Day after the 04 season.
I did. And I did. Well, first I went and did the All-American Bowl, and it was called I can't remember what it was. But anyway, it was in Florida, and it was awesome. I mean, it was played with Jerry Rice's nephew. The guy that was the quarterback at LSU at the time was my roommate. A bunch of guys from Florida. It was a blast.
Matt Mock?
Huh?
Well, Matt Mock?
No, he graduated the following year.
Oh, okay.
I'll remember the guy's name and I'll tell you. But anyway, he and then I went and played in Las Vegas, and that's where I played for Jim Harbaugh in that All-American game. And then after that is, we had our little pro day, and it was great. You can actually, if you go to YouTube, I don't know what you have to search, but something with my name. But there's a bunch of clips up there of the videos that we shot right before pro day that we gave to all the coaches as they came, which was pretty funny. In old days, you actually handed them DVDs.
Yeah, right. You actually had something you physically would hand it to him. Bo Edge back from technical land. How we doing, Bo?
Right at the moment that I was about to talk, Chrome decided to do an update and reboot itself on my screen. I'm like,
why that is? It's because Pornhub's been banned, and Bo's been spent the last week trying to figure out a way around that, and he's crashed his computer.
Okay, let's get a couple things straight. I don't use Pornhub on my work computer, so that is not what is transpiring here.
That is funny. That is funny. A lot of good chats coming in on the Specs chat. We will not spend much time on it. Miles says, Chad, that's supposed to be Chad. How do you feel about getting a new AD? Miles, I have no idea. I'm trying not to be overly excited or not excited about A&M's AD. It's been a weird
Was it not a weird move to you, though?
It's weird. It's bizarre. I don't fully get what's going on, but you know what? The A&M AD's been weird for a long time. From bow tie to now, it's just been weird.
Well, I think it lined up perfect, because if you look at it, Alberts was very frustrated with the way that, first of all, the board hadn't hired a new president. So he's having to do things with an interim president. And I think he was frustrated with that. And I think it was a perfect opportunity for A&M. I think they saw that smoke and went, maybe I can get something done here. I think it's a good pickup. I think it's always hard when you have a guy that is that loyal to the place that he just came from. And you got to wonder, that's just weird.
Yeah, it is. It's very strange. Thank you for that chat. And if you remember, you get us a super chat, it'll go right to the top of the pile. We'll talk a little bit of pro day. There's some good news and some not so good news for Texas guys today. But real quick, let's tell you about all the great news that's going on over there at Covert Ford.
Says Texas proud more than a Ford from Covert Ford of Austin. Deeply rooted in Texas history, the Covert family has taken great pride for over 114 years. That's why you can always depend on Covert Ford to deliver the best customer experience and a superior selection of new Ford vehicles. Shop online at covertford.com.
It is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho on this Wednesday night. Spring practice is underway, and there's going to be a lot of discussions to be had about that. Real quick on Pro Day. Pro Timing Day did happen today. Somebody mentioned that Quinn was nice enough to show up and throw to his receivers so they could try to look as good as they could. Jordan Whittington was able to go through some of the workouts today and actually run routes. People were excited about that. Chance?
I love the way, Chad, that you make it sound like Quinn was really just going out of his way to do something for his buddies, because he was doing it for them so that they could get some good balls. Had nothing to do with the opportunity to be in front of 96 scouts on your own. Not at all.
That's not what he was thinking about. Look, when scouts watch a guy that is still going to be at the school, they don't put that in their brain. They don't put that away. He's doing that out of the goodness of his heart. Come on.
We're just giving Quinn a little love tonight.
Yeah, let's give the three a little love. Come on.
Well, but it wasn't. I'll say this, Chance, and you can say whatever you want about it, but Quinn didn't have to go throw. There was a downside to him going and throwing in front of all 32 NFL head coaches who were there, or most of them were there, including Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins, who was checking things out. If he'd have had a bad pro day, it would not have carried over very well. Now, was he betting on himself in an easy environment in his home turf where he got to look good throwing to 2 NFL receivers and a future NFL tight end in Jatavion Sanders? You're damn right. It was self-serving, but he was taking a risk.
Well, you can say taking a risk. To me, it would have been the easiest move in the world. It would have been so easy because it's one thing when you get this coach and there's head coaches there. It's one thing when they watch you on film. It's another thing. But to get to go out and be around them and they see your demeanor and they're in more of a practice setting where it's like an interview. And I think Quinn, look, not at no point do you think, oh man, I don't want to go out there and look bad in front of these guys. You've been throwing at these guys for a year and a half. I mean, you've got timing with them. You've been throwing with them all offseason since the end of the getting ready for this. So for him, it's exciting and it's fun. And I get to go, show these guys that these two future NFL receivers and future NFL tight end trust me enough to bring me over here and look at me and watch me shine. They trust me because I'm going to make them look good. I understand where there could be a risk. I don't think it ever crosses your mind though.
Yeah, and this is pointed out multiple times today, guys. Chris Bennett reminds us that C.J. Stroud did the same thing at Ohio State before his last season there in Columbus. Can't hurt.
Well, it's
kind of
the
like both
first
said.
time where Texas had enough guys performing at pro day that it would even register that Quinn Ewers was throwing.
Yeah,
and
actually, it's a good point.
Was throwing to high level receivers, and there were other guys in the building that scouts wanted to see. I can remember pro days back in like 12, 13, 14, where half the NFL teams didn't even come to see because they couldn't give a shit. Now every single NFL team had representatives on site today.
Yeah, it's a good point. And there was way more good stuff than there was weird stuff or strange stuff. The good stuff, Byron Murphy's still Byron Murphy, and he was exciting every NFL person that was there today over in the bubble. By the way, I thought of you, Bo, when your guy Ryan Watts had an 11-1 broad jump. Nobody on earth loves a good standing broad jump more than I do. And when you go 11-1, that's awesome. I still need that video. Alex Dunlap, whoever was over there, I need to see the video of Ryan Watts and that broad jump. That's incredible. And by the way, Xavier Worthy went 10-10, just in case you need one.
Well, but the difference is Ryan Watts is 4 or 5 inches taller than Worthy, so that's the only difference in there. He had a little more leg length to get there. But y'all know I've been banging on the Ryan Watts drum for the last 2 damn years. And he's going to end up getting drafted to play safety somewhere. The question becomes, how is a guy that's that physically gifted at not one, but 2 programs of stature, Ohio State and Texas, that he never performed on the field to the level that everybody, like the physical attributes, like that's why he's having to move to safety. Now, he could either be a future Pro Bowler at safety, or he'll be out of the league in 2 years. I hope he's a future Pro Bowler at safety, but it has to make you wonder, how can a guy with this much physical athletic ability not get it right, on the field?
Yeah, and interesting you say it that way, Bo, because I think it's the exact opposite when we talk about JT Sanders. Somebody jumped in the chat and said, what are your thoughts on JT Sanders' performance? It feels like with JT, it's the opposite because the football part's been pretty damn good, but the numbers part has not. He did not run the 40 today, so we don't know if he could get down to that low 4.6 he was talking about. And kids, he did the bench 8 times. Not 18, 8 times. Fellas, I'm a 49-year-old dude that can't do 225 once. But Chance, right now, what could you get me 9 if I needed 9?
Well, just that's my warm-up set of a set of 10, just to be honest.
So right now, you're telling me you warm up with 225 and you could give me 10, no problem.
Yeah.
The guy with the biggest ego in the room, you're asking him if he can do 225. He goes to the gym 5 days a week.
Bo, I put 225 on a bar. Can you get me 9?
No.
Okay.
I could get 1, and I haven't done the bench press in 2 or 3 years. I used to be able to probably get close to there. Not now. I'm a big fat slob. But I could get 1 rep. It might take me a couple of weeks to make the muscles come out of hibernation, but I could get 1 at some juncture. But this might explain why Sanders wasn't known as a blocker. He might just not be that physically strong up top, but who gives a damn? This is the type of thing where the numbers get screwy.
Mm-hmm.
because yes, combine numbers can mean a lot of things. And Worthy had a great, combine, and his speed is going to get him drafted in the first round. But if you were an NFL team, and I'm not saying this is a knock on Xavier Worthy, who was the receiver that showed it on the field this year at different times that you might lean more towards? Adonai Mitchell. JT Sanders makes catches. JT Sanders makes plays. And it's not like he was playing against high school kids. He was playing against elite Division I college football players. Who gives a damn if he only benched 8 times? It really, who cares? It's like it keeps him out. It probably moves him into the 3rd round. But you know what? Somebody's going to get a steal with a guy that goes out and performs like that. Like, there's something to be said for what you do on the field when the game's on.
Well, and Chance, I like the point Bo's making, but to me, here's the question. Based on what happens there, because they do kind of, I'm sorry, you're going to care if a tight end has 8 reps. Chance, does it bring the rest of the pack behind him up? Does it bring Jared Wiley and these other guys up into that second tight end discussion? Or do you think Sanders still goes number 2 for tight ends?
I think it's all about the fit. Okay. Number one, a thing that I was always told was you're never going to have a board behind you to hold your back while you do a bench press on a football field, unless you're laying on the ground after getting your ass kicked and you're trying to push somebody off of you. So it's really an irrelevant lip, right? Like, he's actively a physical specimen. He catches the ball well. He runs the ball well. He gets open when you need him to. He can high point the ball. He's shown he's got a big body and can run after the catch. So to me, that's what football coaches look at. Football coaches look for guys that have it. And, it's like Daryl Royal used to say, if you have to ask what it is, you don't have it. And so he's one of those guys you look at it and go, he's going to be a player. So it's going to be a right fit. Most right fit situation, those guys may get pulled up a little bit. I just don't think I don't think it makes that much difference. I think a football coach is going to look at him and say, that's a football player.
And Bo, to your point, we know the dude can catch. And we know there's all kinds of tight ends in this league. They have taken over this league. Chance always talks about it. And there are some super freaky ones. There are. But the one thing we know is if you put a ball in JT Sanders' neighborhood, he's probably going to catch it. There's not a lot of sloppy to his football.
And I'm not using this I'm not trying to be Homer, when I'm saying this, but there's some teams draft when they succeed. And there's a reason teams that perennially suck, draft guys based on only measurables or only potential. Sometimes, maybe not in the first round or the high first round, but when you get into the 3rd, 4th, 5th, draft the guy that fits your team. Draft the guy that can actually do it in the game, and it'll pan out better. Like, I mean, look at a guy like, for instance, using a Longhorn as an example. And no, he never set the world ablaze, but he's been an 8 or 9 year player in the NFL and made a Pro Bowl. Poona Ford has no measurables. He's short, squatty, runs slow, and there's nothing about Poona Ford at a combine type setting. I don't even think Poona Ford got invited to the damn combine. You know why? Because his numbers would have sucked. But Poona Ford on a football field, when it became a one-on-one competition with him and the guy in front of him, he acted like it was for his life. And he fought like it was for his life. And so that's how he ends up being a 9-year starter in the NFL. And that to me is what JT Sanders can be. The same reason he played defense and offense in high school. The guy is a football player. He's not a workout warrior. And Chance, guys that were on teams that you were on that couldn't lift for shit.
No,
they hated the weight room. They despised the weight room. Who was it from the Florida documentary? Jarvis Moss.
Yeah. Well,
Brandon Spikes. Sorry, it was Brandon Spikes on the Florida documentary on Netflix. Hated the weight room. Never went in the weight room. Nobody wanted to get in that guy's way when the ball was in play, but he had a shitty pro day too.
Yeah, but so let me give a little bit better comparison than Poona Ford. And, I love to talk about the Bills, but I see a lot in this. Dalton Kincaid came out. He did not bench press in the combine. Do you know why he didn't bench press in the combine? Because it wouldn't have looked good. So the only thing is JT Sanders did that, but what did Dalton Kincaid do? He set a Bills record for rookie catches, not just tight ends, for all receivers ever. And, he almost had 900 yards receiving total. you look at that, that's what JT Sanders can do, because coaches look at Dalton Kincaid, they watched his film, they watch his run after catch, they see the way that he can take a short route, turn it upfield, and go turn it into a touchdown, and that's what they used him for. That's the same thing. I think the guy is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to, because he's got an NFL body, and he's going to go to a place that knows how to use him.
Yeah, I guess the only
who won't
question.
draft him? The Titans, because their front office and coaching staffs are morons. So you can go ahead and take the Titans off the list. You know who will draft him? And I hate to say this, but it'll be somebody like the Texans, where Caserio has shown that he will take guys in the draft that don't quite make, like the Texans will take JT Sanders in the 3rd round. And all of a sudden, he'll be their second tight end, and all of a sudden he'll be a star. And him and CJ Stroud will be making videos on Instagram, buddied up, and it won't matter how many times he bench press, because he's going to end up with 10 touches for the year, 10 touchdowns for the year. Like, that's the type of team the Texans, the old school Patriots, like back when they were doing things like that would draft a JT Sanders and everything. This is a stupid pick. He only benched it 8 times, and then he's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah,
like
I guess
that's what'll happen.
I guess my only thing, fellas, is if you know what you can do. I can tell. Again, we all just told what we thought we could do with 225. Is it yes? Is it no? Is it 10 times in a warm up for Chance? If he knows that, just do the football part. Chance, just go run routes. Maybe do a cone drill and then wave as you walk away. Go with your strengths. This is your pro day. You can do or not do whatever you want. If you can hit a 58-yard field goal and you think that would help you somehow, do that.
If JT Sanders could kick a 58-yard field goal, he definitely should have did that in pro day.
Right? I just don't. That's the only question I would have. Like,
how awesome would it have been if Tavondre Sweat was kicking 35-yard field goals at the end of it, though, just to do it?
Dude, watching Big 93 do the leg thing where you go backwards and then over, that would be awesome.
Hey, he moves like Jagger, man. I mean, he's got.
Could you imagine, though, like video of him toe punching it, like just straight toe punching it 35 yards and then dancing? Like,
yeah, you're right. Maybe that'd be better. If he went Tom Dempsey and just went straight at it, that would be even better.
I guarantee you nobody's trying to block it because they don't want the aftermath when he finishes the kick.
Oh, my God. It is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho. Let's get you one more of our great sponsors in here, and it would be Prosperity Roofing. You know you're watching through the windows. Come on.
I wish mine looked like that.
Inappropriate. I don't know what the big deal is. Mine used to look like that.
Is your new roof what everyone's talking about? A new roof from Prosperity Roofing will certainly draw some attention.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Everything important in your life happens under your roof. Let Prosperity Roofing transform your home into something to talk about.
I have a new favorite part of that spot every time I watch it. This time it's Flamingo. This time the Flamingo was my favorite part of that spot. Every single time there's something. All right, gentlemen, what else do we need to hit before we get out of here? Looks like we're not going to get a little Jeff Ketchum, so people are going to have to wait for Jeff Ketchum and his thoughts on the world of Texas football. Anything else you guys want to hit tonight?
I do, because since we had technical difficulties last week,
Uh-huh.
I didn't get to tell y'all what I did on Saturday, which was actually Bo's wife and son were there. I got to go see the Savannah Bananas live and in person.
Oh, wow. I love the bananas.
Oh, my God. So, first of all, we got a standing ovation when they said the first rule of banana ball is no bunting because bunting sucks. And that was something that I take to heart. I think bunting is awful. But it was so cool. The Rocket, Roger Clemens, came in. And not only did he come in, but he got shelled off the train tracks. And he got bat flipped by one of the party animals, which was cool as shit. Then we had Roy Oswalt. And he comes in, and Roy comes in, and he throws fastball, air by the shortstop. Fastball gets hit to the second baseman. He muffs it. Next one, line drive goes off of him. And then he was like, you know what? Fuck this shit. And he started breaking off real big league curves on these dudes. And they didn't see him from that point forward. It was awesome.
So how'd you get into a Bananas game? I heard the list for tickets was like a mile long and 2 years long and all that.
Well, let's just say I know an Aggie that's a redhead. Miss Beth she can work her magic. I will tell you that.
Lizzie Grace?
Lizzie Grace hooked it up.
Nice. That's cool. So did somebody catch a foul ball for an out?
Somebody did, and this is the best part. They caught one of the bananas balls, and so everybody started booing the guy that caught it. We're like,
oh,
but you got to realize, going to banana ball, this is the best way I can say it, is it was like the Swifties coming to the NFL. It was a arena full of people that don't normally watch baseball that were all about it. Like they were new to it. So when the guy caught it, he was like, yeah, I caught the ball. And everybody's like, no.
You got to pay attention to who's batting, man. What are you talking about?
I could not believe what the tickets were going for. Like Jenny and Razor went down there. That was one of the things that Jenny had gotten Razor for Christmas. And she's been on their mailing list or whatever for years, and they've been to a few games. And she got early lottery tickets or however, and she bought 2 of them. And they were like $65, $70 a piece. We were thinking that they might not be able to make it down to Houston. We went on StubHub. They were going for like $600-$700.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, Jesus. Like,
and there were
this is a major league stadium. That's World Series prices.
It was 41,000 people that showed up for that thing.
There'd have been 410,000 people if they'd have given away tickets.
And for Chance, this was at Minute Maid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sold out Minute Maid.
Dude, it's one of the greatest ideas ever. I mean, to take the idea of the Harlem Globetrotters and to inject it into baseball and take a sport that can get slow and weird and just plotting for people and somehow make it entertaining like that. It's so cool. Like make it just crazy and entertaining. I love it.
Well, that's the thing is like, number one, no bunting because bunting sucks, and that's true. But number two, the other rule, there's no walks. So if you get walked, the runner gets to take off sprinting, and he gets as many bags as he can get before all 9 defenders touch the ball.
Oh, that's right. So you got to start throwing around real quick.
Yeah. And they so it's not like a boring walk. Like they walk and they take off running. And the other thing that I think is fascinating is that it almost works like a skins game. So it moves the game along so fast. So you don't get runs, you win the inning, and that's the point. So if the home team or if the visiting team doesn't score a run and the home team scores 1, the inning is over. It doesn't matter how many outs are, you win the inning, on to the next inning. So it just like keeps it rolling.
Yeah, wait a minute. Hold on. We have a verification. First off, somebody's jumping in. Jenny says banana ball was awesome. And Chance, it was the pitcher's brother that caught the ball?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Can that be true? Now that's funny.
He's like, I'm helping bro out right now.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That's good. I like that one. Yeah,
Like,
that's my favorite rule. That if you catch a foul ball at a Savannah Bananas game, the batter's out. That is just that's too good. That is absolutely too good.
But it has to be a clean catch. That was now. I will tell you,
Yes.
the second most entertaining thing of the entire deal is to start. So the show starts at 6. The game doesn't start till 7, but it's like Ringley Brothers, Barnum Bailey. They got so much shit going on. But one of the things they played was a game called Banana in the Pants. And there was one kid that was in a party animals and one kid that was a bananas. They gave him these big pants that you could hold out like this. They were throwing bananas from the stands and trying to catch them in their pants.
Nice.
And they went to the rafters, literally the top seat at the top of Minute Maid, and they threw this banana, and the dude caught it. It was the coolest shit I've ever seen.
That is so good.
I'm going to send y'all the video, and you'll look at where they are. It's wild.
You got to check it out. All right. Before we get out of here, how about a little, by the way, Chris Bennett tells us that Caleb Williams punted at the end of his workout today. I don't know if that's true. That'd be cool if it was.
Instead of a physical, he was showing that his hamstrings are in good shape.
Yeah, there you go. Somebody asking the appropriate question. Text guy, does Chad keep taking blinking breaks? Yes. If I take myself off the video, it's a blinking break because my old ass eyes from Doc Hastings start watering up for no reason, and I don't want y'all to see that. And finally, let's talk a little basketball, gentlemen. Do you think Texas can make a good run in March Madness? Miles, thank you for giving us 2 qualifying words good run in March Madness. Whatever y'all consider a good run, Chance, do you think Texas makes a good run?
To me, a good run is just to get out of the round of 64 and into the round of 32, and I think they'll do that, and that's about all they'll do.
Okay, good run of one game. Bo, what do you think?
Here's the thing about Texas, and I'm not going to try to make this a long-winded conversation, but Texas has the talent to win almost any game they play. They've taken Houston to overtime. They've played really high-caliber teams and competed. The problem with Texas making a run, whatever you consider a good run, have you ever seen this Texas team this year do it for more than one game? Like, they've had blips, but so it's what? How could they make, like, if they made a run, it would be the most remarkable run in Texas basketball history, even going back to the Tom Penders days, because this is the most schizophrenic group of dudes that you've ever seen. They'll go 10 minutes and look like the best team in the country, and they'll go 10 minutes and not score. So it's like, how could they make a run? They can't sustain anything. So yeah. I think Chance is right. I think they win the first game. Could they beat Rick Barnes' Tennessee team? You damn right they could. Like, they have the physical players, and Barnes can choke a game in March as well as anybody in their life. And we all know that
too. They've been up and down.
How can you, like, when you're filling out your bracket, how do you have any confidence in putting Texas past one game? Like, if you move Texas beyond anywhere than that, it's just blind faith. You go to church Sunday and you hope. I mean, I hope they do. I'm going to root for them. I'm going to wear orange.
And if anybody thinks they know what Tennessee basketball is going to do in this tournament, just go watch both games they played against A&M this year. Go watch both games and you tell me you know
30 exactly and then lose by 20.
I think it was won by 35 and lose by 15 or 17.
You combine the gaps in those two scores, and it's more than Virginia would score if you gave them 2 games to do it, as bad as they looked the other night.
God, then there's Virginia. That's the other thing, fellas. If the wrong version of Texas and Virginia played each other, that final score could be 32-31. Like, I don't know how you could be a Virginia basketball fan today, Chance. What is my life like if I'm a Virginia basketball? I got a natty to talk about, but I also have the first 16 over a 1 puke on my shoes ever. And they didn't just get kind of beat. They didn't get be like that. They got drilled in that game. And then last night they have 14 at the half. Like, what am I supposed to do?
All they need to do is call the local chapters over in Iowa and ask them if they can come to some of their coping meetings about how it feels when your team cannot score. And the Iowa fans could really comfort them and make them
Iowa
understand.
Football. Clarify, but this isn't Iowa basketball.
Football fans.
Yeah, did y'all see that shirt last night? Dude showed up. Colorado State fans showed up in their colors on a T-shirt, and it said Virginia basketball is Iowa football. and he sat first row. And then that game happened. And if I'm him, I would have just stood up and done this like ever. By the way, my St. Peter's shirt is what I'm wearing today for in honor of the tournament. Speaking of a 16 that did something it wasn't supposed to do.
That game is the definition of a pickle fest. Like we've talked about it in football. That if you don't understand what I'm talking about, when you throw a pickle against the glass and see how long it takes to get to the bottom, that basketball game was it.
Now, Bo, that's an insult to pickles. I'm not the biggest fan of a pickle, but I've learned to appreciate a good pickle and a burger and a sandwich in the last few years. You're insulting pickles if you're saying that was. I mean, it really is an insult.
Before we go, you took U of H. Who do you have U of H beating in the finals?
I have U of H beating Arizona in the championship game.
Who do you got, Chance?
Yeah.
Chance has Duke over North Carolina.
Sure.
All right. I'm going the opposite way of you, Chadwick Hastings. I have Houston in the Final Four, but I'm taking Purdue over
the Big Ogre.
Okay. You like Purdue to beat Houston in the final? Would that be the final? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have Purdue over UConn.
Oh, Purdue over UConn. I'm sorry. Purdue and Houston.
Purdue beating Houston. I have Purdue beating Houston in the Final Four game. I do have Arizona. I have 3 1s and the 2 being Arizona. I think it's going to be a lot more chalk than people realize because most of the teams are like Texas. They can beat anybody. but they can lose to everybody. Like
Mhm.
it's just there's very few consistent teams, and I think Purdue's going to follow the Virginia blueprint from a few years ago. Get bounced in the first round by a 16, and then come back with your senior leader Zach Edey and get it done.
There you go. Yeah, right. They have the chance to do that. I don't know what's sadder, that we could have two teams that lost to 16s or that those teams then would come back to win a natty the next year. I don't know which is sadder, but anyway, there you go. I at least was entertained enough to buy the T-shirts of both of the 16 seeds that did it. So, hey, 16s, if you win, I'll buy your shirt. So if you're listening, Grambling and whoever else is in, like, come on, get it done. I'll buy a T-shirt.
Did you read the story like on the guy that's I think it's Long Beach State, the team that's playing Arizona? Their coach got fired before the conference
I did
tournament.
hear that. Yeah.
And then they hadn't replaced him because it's Long Beach State and they don't have no damn money. He coached him in the conference tournament, and then they win the damn thing as like the 8th seed. So now he's taking a team to the dance to get their ass kicked by Arizona. He said he was in his press conference today. He said, "I'm in a Seinfeld episode, but in real life, I'm working for free because I love these kids. I don't have a job."
He is really George sitting in that office, like refusing to leave at that point. But hey, I don't care. I don't care what my bracket says. I'm rooting hard for that Long Beach State team. That'd be an awesome story if that dude knocks a 2 seed out.
A Seinfeld episode.
That's what it was. Exact what was. I'm living in a Seinfeld episode the last week. I'm working and traveling, and I'm not getting paid a dime.
That is bad.
I love Seinfeld. Anytime you can throw a Seinfeld reference, that's good.
It's a solid reference. Always good. Always good. By the way, speaking of Texas basketball, the game, remember, is right around 6 o'clock tomorrow night, Thursday night, for Texas and Colorado State. Go to orangebloods.com and you can check out Wes Miller's preview and scouting report on Colorado State. Let me throw you a QR code real quick. There you go. Check out orangebloods.com. All the great stuff with football, all the stuff following the baseball team, the basketball team, everything you need, and the craziest message board on planet Earth. But check out Wes's preview. We'll also get you a video preview here on Orange Bloods Live with Wes coming up at sometime tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Like, subscribe, get your notifications. You'll know when all of that stuff is coming up. And one more reminder before we get out of here, Colt's wearing a Poncho shirt. It is The Outsiders, brought to you by Poncho, PonchoOutdoors.com. The highest quality shirts you can find. If you got an outdoorsman or outdoors woman in your life, I think that's the word. Outdoors lady, outdoors person. I don't know. Anyway, if you have people that love the outdoors, PonchoOutdoors.com. That's the way to do it.
Chad, you need to get your way up to Cedar Park because I can tell you right now, the chances of me going this weekend, not
happening. Okay.
You got 2 poncho shirts, a hoodie, and by the by, I got you 2 T-shirts that if you tell me to, I will label Chad on the inside to where your wife and your daughter don't take them. I'll write it on the front. Chad's shirt, motherfuckers. Like, I'll do that if that's what gets you to wear them.
We may do that. I will be in touch. I'll try to get with you by the end of the week. Maybe we can figure out a little meeting spot.
And everybody out there in Outsider Nation, we took a little lull. We had some technical difficulties while our master producer, Chad, was not available to hit the buttons, and we left it in other people's hands, and it fell through those hands. Next week, we should have a pretty extended show because we have some guests. Like, we may be able to actually get Jeff back on.
Mm-hmm.
Chance has been working on what I would call one of the Mount Rushmore of female Longhorn athletes who was going to commit to the show, but then things fell through. So that'll be next week. Who knows who else might drop out? Next week will be a guest-heavy week. So make plans, block your calendar, Wednesday at 8:30.
There you go. Next Wednesday at 8:30, we will fire up another edition of The Outsiders for you. Thanks to all of our great partners, and thanks to everybody in the Specs chat. I'm seeing almost 600 people in there right now. We appreciate you for checking it out. Everybody have a great Wednesday. Remember, get your brackets filled out for the Orange Bloods Bracket Challenge by 11:15 tomorrow morning. Great prize package that's been put together, that free TV from Audio Visual Consultations, the Rogue Shop that Bo was talking about earlier, they've got something in there. A year of Orange Bloods and stuff just keeps getting added on top of that. So by the time the tournament's over, you just never know what's going to be in there for the winner. I got my pick in. I got my bracket in, picking Houston to win it all. You can also compare to how you're doing against me and all the other folks that are jumping in. Orange Bloods guys are in there. Orange Bloods fans and message board people, they're in there too. So go check it out. Get it done by 11:15 tomorrow. Everybody have a great Wednesday and a great rest of your week until next Wednesday, when we will be drinking and we will be talking, and we may even be talking to guests. You never know. We are the Outsiders, and we are legitimately worth a shit.